going on, everybody? Nick at the Long Haul Fitness YouTube channel, and I am coming at you guys today to bring episode 1, or the intro to the channel, kind of episode 1 and intro to the channel. So first off, thank you very much for joining in and following along with this. I'm super excited to get this going, and it's been something I've been thinking about for a little while now, and something I've really been putting a lot of my time and effort into. So I'm super excited to start getting these videos out and stuff. So your support means the world to me. The reason that I wanted to start this channel is with the news of my son coming, I really wanted to speed up the process of eventually not having to work from a location anymore. So this is the potential to do that. This is another way for me to get my voice out there and to spread some more information. On top of that, I also wanted to have a reason to do a cut and get really, really shredded, like competition shredded. Again, with my son on the way, I am not going to be doing any kind of competitions for the foreseeable future. Everett needs that money a lot more than the NPC does. So this is just a good way for me to be able to have a driving force behind this cut and something to kind of look forward to, and a reason why I'm doing it, not just doing it for shits and giggles. So that's kind of why this channel is starting. What the channel is going to be as of right now is going to be two things. So first, I kind of already mentioned this is episode 1 of the Peeled series, and documenting my cut. I want to use this cut as a marketing tool to show you guys the different levels of lean. So show you what it takes to get from where I started around 15% body fat to 10, and then 10 down to 8, and then 8 down to 5, and then 5 down to 3, right? So I want to show you guys what it takes at each level so that you can now have a better understanding of how to reach whatever goal it is that you have. Maybe you didn't start at 15, maybe you started at 20, but either way, there's going to be information in this that will show you how to get to that level of body fat that you're trying to get to, or whatever it is your goal is. I think a lot of people miss how much it really takes to reach these goals. A lot of people think that you can just show up to the gym, eat healthy a couple of days, and the pounds are just going to start coming off. And that's just not the case. I have been, this is like the 4th time I've recorded these videos, just because I haven't been able to concisely get all my thoughts down and figure out how I wanted to lay out everything. I feel like I've kind of got a little bit more of a grasp on that now, and gonna really try to continue to refine this process and make these videos better for you guys and continue to put out information. This video is just the intro, so I'm not going to get super into detail, but I already have been cutting for like a month, since the 1st of May. I had a gym open up on the 1st of May. So I've been cutting since about then, so about a month. The process has been super smooth so far and going extremely well. I feel like I've already made tremendous changes in the time that Chris and I have been working together, and am very happy with where I'm at as far as how I look, how I feel, my strength, all that stuff. So it's been a fun process, and there's been a lot of stuff that I've missed, but I'm going to try to recapture that and go over what it took me to get to where I am. I have all my pictures documented. I have all my diets documented. I have all that stuff ready to show you guys. So I may not have had recordings at the time, but I can go back and give a recap of what we've been doing. Now, a lot of people, when they hear that you are doing a cut or something like that, one of their first questions is, oh, does that mean you're like on a super strict diet? Yes, that's exactly what that means. Now, I've been bodybuilding or working out to try and get bigger since I was about 16 or 17. And I started really eating properly the way I needed to get to where I needed to in college around 18, 19. So I'm 27 right now. So I'm close to a decade of doing this. I don't know any other way to eat. Even when I am off plan, I still prep all my food. I still cook all my own meats. I still cook all my own carbs. I still do all that stuff. Now, if I'm off plan, I may have some more cheat meals here and there and may have some more fun food, as you could call it. But for the most part, eating this way doesn't really change my life that much because I am typically already doing that. Now, with the diet changes, all that we've done is some manipulations to protein, carbs, and fats, and that's it. It's as simple as that. There's no secret method. I'm not doing the keto diet. I'm not doing the carnivore diet. I'm not doing any of these crazy things. I'm just slowly bringing calories down and slowly increasing my output. At the end of the day, weight loss is all about calories in versus calories out. Now, there's a lot of stuff within that we can really get lost in the weeds on, but at the end of the day, that is the basic of all of it: calories in versus calories out. So in a building phase, my calories in need to be higher than my calories out. And now that we are in this cutting phase, the opposite is true. So my calories out needs to be greater than my calories in. So how have we done that? So we started off by just getting back to my plan. During quarantine, I was kind of in this weird phase, I'm not going to call it a depression because I was still okay, but I was in a funk. I was still trying to wrap my head around the idea of becoming a father, and quarantine, we lost everything that we could do. I couldn't go anywhere. I didn't really get to see people that much. I couldn't go to the gym, which is one of my main outlets that keeps me motivated and happy and sane. So taking all that stuff away and adding in on top of it, me trying to wrap my head around being a father when I hadn't been planning on it at this time, it kind of all culminated together. So I fell off my diet. Now, like I said, I was still eating 3 to 4 meals a day, and at least 2 to 3 of them were meals that I cooked myself. But I would also have a cheat meal almost daily. Not every day, but I was having some stuff here and there just cause I was doing Uber Eats a lot, DoorDash, all that kind of stuff, paying $60 for a $10 meal. So what we had to do was get myself back on track. Morning pick me up. So I had to get myself back on track. So we started back to where we were prior to the shutdown and all that stuff. We had built my calories up to a pretty high amount. So we started back there, and each check-in, he would make updates. With those first few updates, most of the changes were carbs being lowered, okay? So he would take carbs from each meal here and there and slowly bring my food down and see how my body responded. At the same time, he's also added in 20 minutes of cardio 5 days a week. Not that much. It's not that hard, and it doesn't sound that difficult, but it's made a drastic difference from when I was doing zero cardio to now. I'm doing that cardio fasted in the morning for 20 minutes, and I've noticed a huge difference, not just in how I look, but how I feel, how my brain is working, my motivation during the day. So there's this big debate that goes back and forth about whether or not fasted cardio is what we need, or if it helps you lose more body fat. And with the studies, it does show that there is no difference, or it's so minimal that it's not significant enough to say that there is a difference. But Chris actually let me know. I already did an interview with Chris, and that will be coming after this episode. But Chris told me that there was an update to that study, and that within the study, the reports were that people who did cardio fasted in the morning tended to have better mental clarity and felt better afterwards than the people who did cardio at another time during the day after having food in their stomach already. Why? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But I just know that I feel better when I wake up in the morning and get some cardio in. So I really enjoy doing that. It's a great way to get my ass out of bed instead of just like lounging around and stuff. And it gets me up, gets me going, and gets my day started. So I already feel productive straight out of the gate. So fasted cardio and lower calories. Now, that was for the first few months. We would or first few weeks, we would slowly bring calories or carbs down. But we had to make some adjustments because of my work schedule currently. So as of right now, I'm working 2 jobs. I work at Equinox in Dallas as a personal trainer, and then I work at Concrete Cowboy in Frisco at the door. So Monday to Thursday, I have a normal schedule, or Monday to Wednesday, I have a normal schedule. Then Thursday, I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I have to wake up to go to work at 7 a.m. So that's when I wake up. I got to be at work at 9 a.m. So Friday morning, I'm not getting a lot of sleep. I'm running off a lot of caffeine and just sheer willpower. And then Saturday and Sunday, I don't have to work at Equinox, but I'm still up late Friday night, Saturday night. So my sleep schedule gets really jacked up. So we've had to make some adjustments to deal with that. The way he's done that is he's actually brought my protein down slightly as well, but actually brought my carbs up. So calories ended up being basically the same, which don't ask me how many calories I'm taking in because I have no idea. And neither does Chris. Well, if he had to ballpark it, he could, and he knows like my macros per meal. But to me, macros is not my main focus. It's not how I do my clients. It's not how he does his clients. It's more of just the food sources, and he knows how much we were eating and where we need to go to continue to get results. Now, what I've noticed from the lower protein and the higher carbs is I actually am a little bit more hungry, but I'm okay with that. In my head, I've now told myself that when I'm hungry, I'm losing body fat. Now, whether or not that's really the case is up for debate, but it makes me feel like I'm doing something. So again, or not again, but placebo effect is a lot bigger than most people give credit for. If I think it in my head, my body is going to is going to respond to that, right? So by being more hungry, I feel like I'm in that cutting state. My body is burning body fat. It needs the fat that I have on my body for fuel. So I'm really enjoying the lower protein and a little bit higher carbs because I feel like I'm actually eating a full meal now, not these little tiny like rabbit meals that I can just crush in like 5 minutes. I feel like I'm actually doing something. So far, strength is still good. Energy is still good. And I'm not struggling. It has not been difficult at all. I'm really enjoying this process, but we're only a month in. So I know that things are going to get hard. And that's what I want. I want things to get hard. I want to show you guys what it takes for me to get to that level and what kind of suffering that I have to get down to 3 or 4% body fat. I don't think people fully grasp truly how difficult it is for the majority of the population to get that lean. There are some people who are anomalies and can get super lean with barely any effort. I'm not one of them. So I feel like I'm a little bit better example for most of the general population who's trying to do something similar, because I'm not a person who builds muscle quickly, and I'm not someone who loses body fat quickly. I'm kind of right down the center. So I think a lot of people will really be able to relate to this, and I hope that y'all can find something in this that will help you with your cut or your bulk or whatever it is. Obviously, I'm not bulking right now, so a lot of the information will be pertaining to people who are trying to get lean. I mean, it's summer right now, so I think most people are focused on losing that body fat for the bikini bod or the beach bod or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's the whole purpose of this and what I'm going to be doing with this channel. So slowly over time, I'm going to be showing more and more. I'm going to throw in my pictures to keep you guys updated. And as me and Chris make updates to the plan, I'm going to share those with you guys to show you the tweaks that we're having to make. So I don't want to get super caught in diet and training right now, but I do want to give a slight overview of what I am doing and the style of training I'm doing and what the diet kind of looks like. So we'll start with diet. As of right now, I'm eating 5 meals a day. They're spaced out about anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. And on training days, I have a post-workout meal, but it doesn't count as a meal, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like a snack. But I know a lot of people hate that word, but that's basically what it is. It's something quick digesting to get some protein and some carbs into my system as quickly as possible after I'm done lifting. But it doesn't count as a meal for the day. So if on training days, I'm basically having 6 meals instead of 5. Each one of those meals is protein, carbs, and fat. So we have all of it mixed together because your body needs the fats and the carbs and the protein to get to where, or to do what we're trying to do. For a long time, I thought that mixing carbohydrates and fats in the same meal was a no-no. And that's not necessarily the case. My original thinking was that by having the carbohydrates, we would raise insulin levels and that those fats that were in the meal would then get shuttled into the fat cell. Now, sure, it's a good explanation, but that tends to relate more towards super sugary foods with high saturated fats. So like the packaged processed meals or snacks that you get from the store, that's where that's going to become an issue. With things like rice or potatoes or pasta or oatmeal or things like that, all the fat is going to do is help slow down the absorption of those carbohydrates so that I'm not hungry 30 minutes later. It's a really good way to extend that window of eating between meals so that you are able to not starve to death between meals. Now, towards the end, that is going to have to change. Fats are going to have to start to come out, and I'm going to have to start really struggling with hunger between those meals. But as of right now, with where we're at, things moving so smoothly, we still have that in there. I honestly have no idea how many carbs, how much protein, how much fat is in each meal. I can find out and add that information in later, but it honestly does not matter to me. What matters is the changes to how much in each meal I'm eating. I don't really care if I went from 50 to 45 or 45 to 30. All I care about is how much I need to weigh out in that meal. And if he continues to change things consistently that way, I don't need to know what my macros are. There are a lot of people out there that do 100% rely on macros, and that's how they do their dieting, and that's fine. If that's how you prefer to do it, go for it. I'm just not that person. I'm not a super technical, sciencey person. So you're not going to hear a bunch of crazy explanations on here from me. A lot of stuff I'm going to say is going to be anecdotal and stuff that I've just learned over the years. So just a nice, healthy, balanced meal 5 times a day, usually separated out 3 to 4 hours. The only meal that might not be that long apart is my post-workout meal, because I'll usually eat about an hour to an hour and a half before training, have that post-workout meal, and then in another 30 minutes afterwards, I'll have that meal. So that one sometimes is around 5 hours apart. Not that big a deal. I'm feeding myself enough to where my body is getting the amino acids, it's getting the carbohydrates, it's getting the fats it needs, consistent enough to where I'm not just going to start wasting away. So that's not a huge deal. I know nutrient timing is a big topic of discussion these days, and I do think nutrient timing is very important when it comes to body composition changes, not just weight loss changes. So you need the faster acting carbohydrates post-workout and a faster acting protein source post-workout as well. But as far as everything else, I'm not super anal about the exact timing of everything that I'm doing. Now, when it comes to training, I have been on a push-pull legs routine for a long time, and I really, really enjoy it. With my schedule right now, they're usually on the weekends. I have a hard time getting into the gym because I'm just exhausted from working and not really getting the best sleep. It's very broken up on the weekends because the dog wants to get up and eat, and then I get back in bed. I'll get up and let him out, and I'll get back in bed. So I might get 8-9 hours of sleep, but it's typically broken up into segments. So I'm usually very exhausted. So the push pull legs with that rotation, I am able to get more volume across the week more often. So it fits my schedule very, very well. I've started a new rotation of my volume with my workouts to just have an experiment and see if I can try something new. So within that push-pull legs, there are 3 rotations on each of them. So for example, yesterday was a push day and I did a failure day. So I will start with an activation exercise, something to get myself warmed up and feeling really good. For the push day, my left shoulder, I tore my labor minute back in January 2019. So it gives me a lot of issues. So I really have to warm my shoulder up. So when I'm getting ready for a push day, I start with laterals. I start with shoulder movements. I'll start very light with super high reps. So I'll do lateral raises to the side, front raises, and then rear delt raises, very light weights for like 20 to 25 on each of them. And I'll do 2 sets of that just to get the blood flowing, get a little burn in there. And then I'll go into a little bit heavier lateral raises. I'm not one of these people who grabs a 50, 60-pound dumbbell trying to do lateral raises. I'm focused on making sure my shoulder is taking the brunt of the force when I'm doing that exercise. When I was younger, a lot of times I would go really heavy with my lateral raises and I would end up here, basically. I would be shrugging the weights, which is where I got that kind of sloped look with my traps. My traps grew very quickly and my shoulders did not because I was training improperly. So now when I'm doing my lateral raises, I focus on keeping my shoulders down and focused on my shoulders working, okay? So the next day, I'm going to keep with the push since I'm already on that. The next day will be a volume day. So I'm staying far away from failure. I'm leaving anywhere from 2 to 4 reps in the tank every time, and I'm just focused on squeezing and getting out as much work as possible. That way, I don't put as much strain on my shoulder, and by the time I come back around to the next workout, I'm not as brutalized. I'm not tearing down my joints. I'm not beating up my cartilage, and my joints aren't angry at me. So with the volume day, I pretty much do the same exercises as I would do on the failure day. I just stay far away from failure. I did skip over a lot with the failure day there. So I start with the activation exercises and then I move into my failure exercise. It's typically a heavy compound movement. And right now, incline dumbbell press is what I'm focused on. The 130-pound dumbbells have been my nemesis ever since I started this. By the time I get to my top set, I'm getting 130s for 8. And I've done 130s for 8 the last 4 fucking weeks in a row, and it's starting to drive me nuts. But I'm going to get past that. Anyways, as long as I'm still putting the effort into it and getting to that failure, I'm still getting something out of it. Leading up to that top set, I am not coming anywhere near failure. I'll start with a weight that's fairly light and do 6 reps. Squeeze my chest, make sure it's working, make sure I feel good, see how the movement works. I'll go a little bit heavier, 6 reps. A little bit heavier, 6 reps. By the time I do 3 or 4 of those, I'm good and warmed, but I'm not taxed. So that by the time I'm ready to get those 130-pound dumbbells in my hands, I'm not completely beat up. Now, yesterday when I did my push workout, I think I did too many warm-ups, which led to me not being able to get that 9th and possibly 10th rep. So I will be cutting back on some of the warm-ups on that so that I have more energy going into that top set. I don't want to expend all my energy on the sets to get to the top set so that I can put all of my energy into that. Then going forward, I go into some other presses, some flies, things like that, stuff for triceps. Those I don't push to failure. As of right now, I have one exercise that I focus on pushing completely to failure. The others I leave 1 or 2 reps in the tank. That way, again, I'm not completely destroying my body and I'm not completely exhausted by the next push workout. Now, with the volume day, again, like I said, all the same exercises, all the same order, but I'm leaving 2 to 4 in the tank. Versus the failure day on the other exercise, I'm leaving 1 or 2 in the tank. So I am getting a little bit more work in there. I am doing a little bit more weight, but I'm only pushing to failure on that one exercise. As of right now, that's how I'm running it, and things may have to change just depending on what results look like, how my body feels, and et cetera. But right now, I'm really enjoying it. So that's the failure day and the volume day. And then the last day in that rotation for another push day is a cluster set day. Now, I made a post on my Instagram about what a cluster set is, but I'll go ahead and explain that here. So if you want to see that video, go over to my Instagram, Nick_Bagley_, and it's me on a incline Smith machine bench. So go check that out if you want to see the video explanation. But basically what I'm going to do with a cluster set day, again, same order, but instead of the incline dumbbell press, I'm going to go with something that's a little bit more safe. So for example, I use the incline Smith machine, or you can use something like a hammer strength press, something that's fixed to where there's not a bunch of extra muscles that have to come into play. Now I'm going to warm up. I'm going to do my same activation sets to get up to that final set. But those ones I'm going to push just a little closer to failure. So versus to compare it to my failure day, my activation sets, I'm probably 5 or 6 reps away from failure. Very, very far from failure. But on the cluster set day, I'll probably be anywhere from 1 to 3 reps away from failure. So still fairly heavy and still working fairly hard, but not taxing myself so much that I'm not able to push more weight on the cluster set. Now, with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a weight that I can do for 10 reps. So what I picked most recently on the Smith machine was 2 plates and a 10. Okay. I felt like that was the weight that I could do that day for 10 reps. If I was to do just straight through, no rest, no whatsoever, I'd get 10 and be done. So I get under the bar, I do 6 reps, rack it, and I rest for 20 seconds. Then I do 5 reps and repeat, rest 20 seconds, and do 4 reps after that, and that's the set. So you may have also heard this referred to as rest pause. This is just a little extra way to do this. So with the cluster set, I'm doing 6, rest 20, 5, rest 20, 4, set done, and that's it. So now, instead of me only being able to get 10 reps with that weight, I've now gotten 15. So that's an extra 5 reps of tension and time under that bar and time under that weight that's put on the muscle without having to put yourself in a compromised position. So if I put a weight on there that I knew I could do 10 reps and I had somebody spot me to get the 15, that's going to put me in a compromised position where I could potentially hurt myself. With that 20-second rest period, your body's able to recover slightly and get enough energy to still crank out those extra reps without putting yourself in a jeopardized position. The reason I'm rotating these things this way is because if I was to do cluster sets every single time, I'm going to overwork myself. My body's going to eventually break down and I'm going to get some kind of injury. Same if I was to do failure every single time. If I was doing failure every single time I went into the gym, especially as often as I'm hitting the same body parts, I'm going to end up with an injury, probably right here, because this area is already compromised. And I don't want to be put out of the gym again for an extended period of time for me being a fucking idiot. So this rotation as of right now has been really, really good. I've been getting very good pumps. I've been getting stronger, or I've been maintaining strength as food has come down. It's hard to continue to get stronger as food comes down, but for the most part, I'm doing a fairly good job with it and really enjoying everything as of right now. So I hope this gives you guys a good explanation of kind of where I'm at right now with my training and what I'm doing to get to the point that I'm at now. So I'm a month into this process. I probably started around 15% body fat, and if I had to guess, I'm probably somewhere around 11 or 12 now. So pretty good progress for a month. I'm down like 6 pounds, 7 pounds, something like that. I didn't weigh myself this morning. I usually only weigh myself on check-in days. So I'm not sure, but the last time I checked in, I was 218 and we started at 226. Very happy with how things look. This is the first time I've been under 220 pounds in 3 years, which is the last time I did a cut, which was my last show. So it's really cool to get back into this process and remember the feeling of this. And I told a friend not that long ago that I felt like a bodybuilder again. I felt like I had a purpose behind my bodybuilding. Sometimes in the off season, we can get kind of distracted because we're not super focused and laser focused on like a show or this date doing this or whatever. For me personally, the mental aspect of the off season is definitely a lot harder than the cutting. It's very easy for me to tell myself this is detrimental to my cut. I can't do it. It's not as easy for me to say this is detrimental to my muscle building. I can't do it, if that makes sense, especially when it comes to diet. Like if people are like, hey, let's go out to eat this day. If I'm not on a diet and not trying to cut, I'm going to go eat it. So I'm a lot more lax with myself, and that sometimes can lead to loss of motivation and drive in the off season. So it feels really good to now have that drive again and have something I'm working towards. If you guys have questions or anything like that, please leave a comment in the comment section and be sure to like and subscribe the channel. And I appreciate you guys following along, and I'm really excited to continue to bring this information to you and show you exactly what it takes to get as lean as possible. Thanks, guys.